Hello, welcome to SwitchedOn. Paul speaking. I'm going to do something a little bit different today, and that is we're going to have a look at MotoGP 20 on the Nintendo Switch. This is kind of going to be a half review, half what is video. I'm not doing a formal review because I've reviewed the last couple of these games and they're very similar. So what I thought I'd do is just talk about MotoGP 20 specifically and look at some of the differences and improvements. So this is out at the moment. This came out a few days ago. And it's $40 on the eShop and £40 in the UK. So if you are going to pick it up in the UK, probably best to head over to the American store, pick up some American credit. If you want to know how to do that, and leave me a comment below and I'll help you out. But let's have a look at some of the modes in this one. And the first new mode that I wanted to highlight is this historic mode. This is a really cool feature in a racing game. I really like what they've done here. It may not be for everybody, but as I say, it's, at least they're trying something different. Now what this is a daily challenge. Each day you get 3 races randomly picked out, put up online, and you get rewards for finishing in the top 3, as you can see there. So 3,000 diamonds for finishing first there, 2,250 for second, 1,500 for third. And then when you get those diamonds, you can spend them in the historic market. These cards here, there's rare, common, ultra rare, all the usual sorts of things, and you can buy them and use them in your single player races. Unfortunately, I guess on the other consoles, and this is one of the first bugbears of the Switch version, I guess on the other consoles you can use these online in some way, whether it's sort of as an avatar display or obviously the bikes and different things you unlock, but there's no online on the Switch. Unfortunately, again, for the 3rd year running, Switch gets no online multiplayer. We do have local multiplayer, if that floats your boat, but very specific set of circumstances to get a local multiplayer match. You're going to be relying on a buddy to have the game, and you're not even going to be able to get local to anyone these days, are you? Not for a little while. So we've got in quick modes, we've got the time trial, which does have online leaderboards. You can see here one of my Twitter buddies, Lone Gamer, up on the 6th there on the Austrian track, which is quite a decent achievement. So if you fancy time trials like that kind of thing, got time trials here with online leaderboards, which is at least something to aim for. So you've got a couple of things there that are going to keep you coming back. The time trial with leaderboards, the daily historic mode, a couple of nice features. The career mode is slightly changed and upgraded. May just well be that it's just a different menu for doing the same sort of things as last year's game with different buttons. But I quite like what they've done here. They've tried to expand it a bit. You can hire staff this time to manage your career, so to get you contracts with better teams, better salaries, that kind of thing. Also got engineers that you can hire to help you do research and development, which we'll have a look here. It's like a tech tree. So here you've got different categories. You've got engine, frame, aerodynamics and electronics. And within that, I say there's a tech tree in each. And you can assign staff. The more staff and the better staff that you apply to upgrades, the quicker those upgrades will come. So really nice touch. Like that a lot. Really gives the career mode some longevity. Other than that, you've got the usual sort of thing. Career mode, races, testing. And you've got the pre-season test again returning this year, where you go to I think it's Malaysia or Singapore. Let's have a look at the first week. Where was it? Oh, it's Qatar, the first race. But you start off in I think it was Singapore, and you get to choose from 3 different packages of bike setup, and that sort of dictates how your bike is built for the season ahead. So you can try all 3 packages out. Which one you're more comfortable with, you sort of commit to that, and that's how your bike is built up. We've got some options here for each race, so you can have different length, AI difficulty. I'm going to up mine a little bit actually, because I've been doing quite well in my races, but as you can see I'm still quite low in the AI ratings. Bike damage is off. And also you can choose what sort of assist you get when you go into a race. So what we're going to do is we're going to a race, have a quick look around how the game actually runs. So here we are in Spain. You get a little intro like last year from one of the real life commentators there. And here we are in pre-qualifying. Qualifying takes place over 2 sessions. You have to sort of qualify to get in the qualifying. I'm just going to have a quick look at this and then we'll get into a race and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So in the qualifying here, you've got a track engineer, which I wish, and again, this was in last year's version and possibly 18 as well, but I wish F1 had this. It's a guided setup where your engineer asks you questions about what you want to improve, and from just the feel of the game or the feel of the qualifying or the racing that you're doing, you can go back to the engineer and say, this one here, for example, is like he's asking where is the issue. You could say corner exit, what the issue is, whether you want improve your speed, precision or stability. So we'll say stability. He's asking how it's specifically behaving, whether it wobbles or bumps. We'll say bumps. And then what will happen in the background is they'll make the necessary setup adjustments to counteract that, which I think is brilliant, because not a lot of people, or not everybody, is technically minded like that or wants to sit through tweaking setups. But to go through a guided set of questions in plain English is such a good idea, and for me is a massive plus. You can also change your tyres. Tyres this year are split into the 3 zones there: the right shoulder, the tread and the left shoulder. So depending how the track's set up, how many left and right turns there are, will dictate how much wear is taken on each of those zones. So it won't just wear out at the same level. You may find the left hand side wears out a lot more than the right hand side, and you can look at the live session here. This is everybody's time as they go around. So what I'll probably do is skip into the race and then we can chat more about performance right there.
Well, welcome to the Jerez de la Frontera circuit. Just a few more minutes before the MotoGP Spanish Grand Prix finally begins. The skies over the track are clear of clouds, and the latest weather reports forecast temperatures in line with the seasonal average.
So let's get down to the grid. Obviously we didn't qualify,
Here we are live
so we
from the
skip
MotoGP
that.
class starting grid, where riders and engineers are talking over the last few details before.
And one of the little problems that I found in this game, let's just watch the warm-up, and this is one negative I do have to highlight. Let's just see if it happens here. What normally happens is that the bikes will crash on the warm-up lap. They'll probably sort of, they won't do it now, but let's just keep an eye out, see if any do go off. Okay, so none went off. They do sometimes, just be aware of that. Doesn't look great in the warm-up when everybody's falling off. Happens a lot more in the wet as well. So we're away. Bad start from me. First thing you notice probably is the graphics are improved from 18. 18 was a 19 was a big improvement on 18. Still had a lot of low res sponsor logos and stuff like that. This is improved again, so every year they seem to step it up a little bit. This is still not perfect, it's still not the best graphics that you're going to see in a Switch game, but they're perfectly serviceable. One of the big things that you're going to want to know in racing games particularly is performance. Now, it's not bad. I'd say there's room for improvement. It's annoyingly hovers just under 30 frames a second. And it's like, sometimes it hits 30 and can be consistent, but other times it's like from 25 to 30, and it's noticeable at times, which is a bit of a shame. But I wouldn't say it's unplayable by any stretch of the imagination, but I know some people just really struggle with any racing game that's at 30 frames a second at the best of times. So I just thought I'd make you aware of that. For me, I think it's brilliant. I'd prefer it to be super smooth, obviously, but as I say, it's never hampered my enjoyment of the game. Never caused me any issues or maybe want to put the game down. So just bear it in mind, though, that the performance isn't rock solid and silky smooth. But I think for what's on offer here, you can kind of give it a little bit of a pass, because the graphics are improved, the tracks look really nice, and overall it's a really fun game. I really enjoy the driving model this time compared to last year. I've got quite a lot of the aids on, which I do tend to do in bike games anyway, because I do find them quite hard to drive, but I do really enjoy playing them. So I'd rather have the enjoyment and the fun of playing them rather than crashing constantly. But there is a wide array of options that you can tweak, such as like stability, obviously automatic gearing and braking. You can even have the AI take over the electronics. If you look in the bottom right hand corner, you've got some electronics there that I'll just flick through. So traction control, electric brake, engine braking, sorry, power distribution. It's all there. You can be tweaked. There is actually fuel consumption in this year's version as well. So lots of improvements. Some things stay the same, but overall I think it's a jump up from MotoGP 19. So really good job by Milestone. They really do know how to be getting the best out of this Switch engine. In the years they've been developing, they've always improved their games, so you can't knock them for that. So there's a little bit of the driving experience there. The AI, I would say, certainly the levels that I play at probably aren't the best. They can be a bit reckless, especially running into each other, which isn't ideal. And I say especially in a wet race, it's just absolute carnage. I started towards the back in one wet race and finished like second. And that was mainly because most of the other guys took themselves out during the race. So let's jump in and see how many tracks there are on this one. So finally, let's have a look at the tracks. Here we are. We've got 20 real life tracks from the MotoGP series. So we've got Circuit of the Americas there. We've got Silverstone. And is that Mugello? And then the Spielberg Ring. I love that track in Austria. 2 historical tracks this time around. We've got Donington Park in Britain and Laguna Seca. I'm going to put a full race up from Laguna Seca, so look out for that. Hopefully try and link to it in this video just to show you some more gameplay. There is some updates on the way. There's like a roadmap of updates that Milestone have got coming, and one of those is to include some more series, including the Moto E series that was in last year's MotoGP 19. So that's the electronic bikes, really fun bikes to drive, so I'm looking forward to those getting patched in the next few weeks. But there you go, that's MotoGP 20 sorry, on the Nintendo Switch. Really good game, as I say. I think it's an improvement on 19. It does have a few little faults. The AI crashing off the track at low AI levels isn't ideal, but if you play at a higher AI level, you'll probably avoid that. The FPS could be a solid 30 frames a second, just annoyingly nags below that sometimes. Is noticeable, but doesn't really affect the gameplay too much. Handheld, this one works just fine as well. Same sort of FPS and graphic quality. I've noticed no real issues playing handheld, and the only issues you have, of course, is the lack of analog triggers on the Switch, which of course applies to the Pro controller as well. But yeah, I think it works fine handheld. Sound also feels like an improvement this time around. The nice little crackles and pops of the bike, as well as the engine noises all being quite unique, is a really nice touch as well. So nice little iterations to this one. Is it worth the £40 if you've got last year's version? That's the big question. It depends how much you like MotoGP, really. If you're a massive fan and want the up-to-date teams and riders, then you're probably going to outlay for it anyway. As I say, look at the American store, see if you can pick it up there a little bit cheaper. You're going to be looking at just over £30 there, about £32 compared to 40 in the UK eShop. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10, which I think I gave to MotoGP 19 last year. But yeah, it's just as good. A couple of improvements, a couple of issues as well that mean it doesn't really push on as much as I'd have hoped, but still an excellent game, one of the best simulations on the Nintendo Switch, and highly recommended for me. And yeah, really recommend you pick it up. Okay, hope you enjoyed that little review and look at MotoGP 20 on the Nintendo Switch. Give me a thumbs up if you like the review, and drop me a comment below if you're going to be picking this one up, or if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer you. And of course, please subscribe if you are new here, it'd be really appreciated. But until then, please check out my full race from Laguna Seca, and I will catch you all on the next video. Cheers everyone, bye bye.